So, Ian, we had the D23, right?
Yes.
That happened. So the D23, I think they did 3 or 4 of these. It's Disney's Entertainment Expo, and I gotta admit, I have no problem with these conventions, this type of conventions happening. But the same thing with like the BlizzCon, like you brought up, where it's just weird to me, where you're not celebrating a particular franchise or a particular game. You're celebrating a conglomerate, huge, monolithic media company.
Yes.
That to me is just strange and it's like, I don't know, postmodern and weird. And
yeah, I went into that heavily when we were talking about the Blizzard stuff, about how it's very weird to go and celebrate one company and only the things under their arch, but then also it's a really weird relationship, and it creates some very toxic shit between fans and people as well. Either you go and you love it, or you're going to get upset, but it's enclosed. There's no other opinions there. You're just looking at their stuff.
Well,
you're paying for this, and you know you're going to be upset by something.
You're paying to go to a convention in order to see what's coming next, to buy or ingest more, but not just like going to like a Star Wars convention or Star Trek convention or whatever. It's for whatever.
D23 has been 10 years, by the way.
It's been 10 years?
Yes.
They do them every year?
They do them every year. They did it March 2000. They started in March 2009.
Okay, I don't remember the last one. Last year if they did one.
Biennial.
Anyway, it's every 2 years.
Yes.
So I am right. They've done like 4 or 5 of them. Okay. So it's weird though, because then you have to ingest things you may not care about during these presentations, where it's like, oh, I want to hear about that, but I don't care about this, or there's other things going on. But again, it's just one media company, and now Disney owns like over half of the movie library that's ever existed at this point. So it's at least for the popular franchises. So it's just weird to me. But okay, if you enjoy it, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I just think it's a little strange.
Yes.
To want to go there. So in terms of the Marvel announcements, Ian, there was some good stuff that was announced, some stuff I don't care about, but also some good stuff. So I'm just go down this article here. So this is most of this stuff is announced for the upcoming Disney Plus, which also now has they announced this thing that everyone's going to get, where you get Disney Plus, you get Hulu, and you get ESPN Plus for it's like $12 a month for all 3 or something like that, whatever it costs.
Really got you by the balls there.
There's like no reason not to get it. It's like you don't want to lose money by not spending $3 more or whatever and buying it at all. Like that's basically what they've done.
Practically stealing.
It's practically stealing. And honestly, with ESPN Plus, that's I think more they're trending towards to get you to watch premium like sports content and live content and UFC stuff. And
if it gives me access to basketball, I don't give a that's all I want.
And then Hulu itself has live sports. I see all the commercials for the marketing's working, and Hulu has obviously TV shows that you might have missed the week before, besides Golden Girls and stuff like that. So it's a pretty robust package, and Netflix may not be in trouble right now, but trending towards that 5-10 years from now, they could be in deep doo-doo because of something as powerful as Disney getting into the streaming. But anyway, so a lot of the stuff they announced to get you on board, these exclusive stuff. So Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think is going to be awesome. They announced U.S. Patriot's going to be on there, who was Captain America at some point in the late 80s or late 90s. He's a nutcase, but they're working that in, and they're bringing back the villain from Civil War, Baron Zemo, is going to be back.
Nice.
So that's like really exciting, because that's one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, he's great.
And Baron Zemo is a pretty cool villain. And they're bringing back Sharon Carter, who we haven't seen in years, that they kind of forgot about Sharon.
Oh, really?
Sharon Carter.
I didn't know that.
They should, though, because if I was her, I'd be kind of like, where am I? I'm not in the Infinity War or anything. It's kind of forgot about me. WandaVision, they're pushing it as like a half sitcom, half like adventure thing. I'm not sure if that's going to be like in her mind that she's living in a sitcom, like she's having like Scarlet Witch is having dreams of things, or either way, it's going to be interesting there. And then, of course, that means that Vision's back somehow. But then maybe she's not. Oh, it's entirely in Wanda's head. That's the theory as she comes to terms. No, it's going to be all in her head. I think they're going to bring back Vision somehow. People like Vision.
Yeah, it's possible.
The What If cartoon story, we know about that. Obviously, it's going to be, if you ever read What If in the comics, it was like, what if Dark Phoenix didn't die? What if the Hulk died from the gamma bomb, and didn't turn into Hulk David Banner, Bruce Banner, I should say, things like that. And then it usually ends up a hell of a lot worse. Like what if Daredevil wasn't blinded but had everything else, and somehow it's worse. It's like the worst case scenarios of everything, but it's fun. it's fun to get into that. The Moon Knight series, Ian. You're a Moon Knight guy. I don't know much about Moon Knight.
I'm super excited for the Moon Knight series, and I hope Moon Knight seems to be gaining a little bit of traction year after year. But Moon Knight is Mark Spector, a guy who got basically his origins. He was like beat up and left for dead by the Bushman or the Bushmaster.
Bushmaster.
Okay. And he essentially begins communicating with this spirit, Khonshu, who kind of becomes a voice in his head.
Okay.
To break it down very simply, he is. It doesn't necessarily do him justice, but he is essentially a Batman that suffers from identity disorder, dissociative identity disorder.
Okay.
Sometimes schizophrenia, but he's mentally ill, and he communicates with this god Khonshu. He's a billionaire, so he makes
a billionaire.
Yeah, so he makes a lot of money.
So he's like Bruce Wayne, but even nuttier.
Right, exactly. But it's a lot of fun, and his comics are generally out there. He has had a few good recent series that I would suggest people check into. One's a 6-issue, but the other good one was, I believe, a 12-issue. It's been a while since I read it, but it was essentially what led into Age of Ultron, the comic event.
Okay.
That was how Ultron came up. That's basically how Ultron got back out there.
I remember him getting a teeny popular in the early 90s for a bit with like him and Ghost Rider, but it didn't catch on, I think, at the time. It was like, oh, people were interested in. That was the first time I was like, oh, Moon Knight's a thing, but I don't think it ever got off the ground from there. He was still like a C-lister, if you can call him that. But,
I mean, he still kind of is, but I like him, and his costume is great.
The white costume.
His costume looks awesome. So
what's the meme about the Dracula owing him money? I keep seeing. Where's that from?
Well, he has dealt with Dracula, but I don't.
He's fought Dracula in the comics.
Well, yes, and I believe he has. And Dracula pops up in really good places. One of my favorite short miniseries is Captain Britain and MI-13, and it ends with them fighting Dracula on the moon. It's fantastic.
Okay, I'm reading the background story to Moon Knight, and it sounds like just a Batman parody. That sounds like how it was created.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see that being the
Former
case.
Marine turned mercenary Mark Spector hops around the globe going from job to job until he ends up in Egypt on assignment. And then he comes upon an archaeological dig, and through a series of mishaps is left for dead, and then he gets his power. Wow, okay. And then I'm really excited, Ian, about SheHulk.
Yeah.
SheHulk is a fantastic property that they couldn't... this is why I'm glad they got to terms, because I think if Universal still owned this, they couldn't, I guess, do a movie, but they can do a series. This is kind of surprising to me, a SheHulk series. And SheHulk is good because it can be lighthearted, it can be procedural, if you do the lawyer stuff, and it's a fun character. She's hot, Jen, so cousin of Bruce Banner. I wonder if they're going to keep the same sort of origin there or go off in some direction there. But SheHulk was kind of surprising.
Yeah, that's not one I would have thought of. But, I mean, a lot of the original ones weren't ones I would have thought of. I would have never guessed Luke Cage. I would have never guessed...
Iron Fist?
Iron Fist.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have thought those would be perfect sort of second, third tier guys to get it. But SheHulk will be interesting just because, she can still smash things around, but obviously she's not as powerful as original Hulk. But I like the character a lot because there was a run when she was part of Fantastic Four in the 80s. A lot of people may not know that. When I think the Thing went missing on other planets. There was a time in the 80s where the Thing got really popular and had like mini-series and was off on his own adventures for a while. So She-Hulk came in and filled in the spot, and it was interesting because it was a different dynamic. I think it was probably for like a year or so, maybe like 83, something like that, when She-Hulk got popular. I'm interested in seeing how that works out. Okay, they're keeping the story the same. Blood transfusion from Bruce, and then Jennifer gets her powers. Okay, all right, there you go. That'll be fine. And then Miss Marvel. I know nothing about this incarnation of Miss Marvel. No, absolutely nothing. So I can't comment on this. I don't know if you do. Kamala Khan, created in 2015, so it's a newer character. New Jersey High School. Okay, I'm in if it's New Jersey. I'm in. There you go. And that's coming out. And then the Loki series we knew about. That'll be obviously fun. The Black Widow movie. That's going to be cool. I think that's going to be cool. It's been interesting because that'll be obviously the only probably Black Widow movie we're going to get. But that's going to be cool. There. And then the Eternals. I know nothing about, and everyone I talk to is like, yeah, I'll watch it, but I probably will watch it just because it's a Marvel movie.
I'm starting to look forward to it more that I start seeing some of the casting decisions, like Kit Harington is going to be in there.
Okay.
And as much as I'm losing interest fast as we approach the end of Game of Thrones, Vonnie and I, we're almost done watching it. I have continued to enjoy him as a character, I mean, as an actor. So I'd watch that.
I've never watched Game of Thrones, but if he's good, people are like, oh, he's going to be Wolverine. I'm like, really? You really think so? They're going to announce Wolverine like that?
I don't think he would have made a... He could have, but nah.
Yeah. Black Panther 2 is coming out 2022. The movie was last year. It's 4 years in between sequels. I hate when they do that. But okay, that's going to be 2022. Oh, we didn't mention about the TV show. They mentioned those characters we worked in the movies for the first time.
Oh, okay. That. Excellent.
So like Moon Knight can show up in a movie or some of these other characters. That's great. That's fantastic to do that. Especially since we're not sure we're going to have a Hulk again. So having a She-Hulk, I mean, it's not Hulk, but it's Hulk-ish. It's someone green. Anyway, so... let's see. According to Black Panther 2, according to this article, there's well, no, that's I'm thinking Kraven the Hunter can't be in this now with the Sony thing happening. We'll get into. I hope it's going to be Namor, Submariner show up as a villain. They hinted at that in Endgame. That would be awesome. That would be especially with climate change stuff going on, and it's more prevalent than ever. That
I think Namor should definitely.
He's going to come out swinging, and Namor's the best. He's the best. He's like underutilized for some reason. He's not used as much as he should be. OG Marvel guy. Him and the cyborg Human Torch. Okay. So then real quick about the Sony Spider-Man news is freaking awful. I hope they're going to come to agreement. It's still early enough that they can come to some sort of agreement or some sort of compromise here to make it work, because obviously both parties benefit from having Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think both parties benefit, and I think they're both being very stubborn. I really don't care about the larger workings of Money Men, but yeah, it's dumb. I mean, it's not going to. If Sony had never done it, then that would be one thing. But now that it's in the MCU, to go back is going to piss off two sets of fans, or I mean, just fans in general.
You will have people that will say, I don't want to see this by default, whether or not it's a good movie. And now they set up so much through 4 movies or 5 movies, they've set up this Spider-Man to pull them back and then have him just fight Venom and Carnage. I'm not interested. I'm just not.
Yeah, I'm
not interested in the dark Sony Venom verse that they're trying to do. I'm not interested in the Morbius movie that I hope bombs. See, this is what's going to happen. You're hoping that if they don't bomb, these movies are going to do poorly. Like, no one's clamoring for a Morbius movie. I'm sorry. And no one's going to want to see some of these standalone movies. Like if they do like a Silver Sable movie, no one's going to see it. So, I mean, like, it's going to take a few of these to fail. The problem was Venom did well. Did better than expected. And so then I think they can do whatever they want because of that.
I wonder, the Venom thing, everyone knew it was... It got out that it was bad, and then it became one of those it's so bad it's good thing movies. So people went out of curiosity. That's not something that regularly strikes twice.
Sure. And maybe the sequel is good, but maybe the interest will be automatically declined because of that. Tom Holland's heartbroken. He's like depressed because of this. I would be too, because if you go from having fun being in these Avengers movies and now you can't do that anymore. This is the most bizarre thing that's happened. In the whole deal is bizarre, but for them to pull this back, they gotta come on, settle at like 20%. Marvel gets like 20% of the movie take. I think that's fair. They put up 20% of the money. You're still making bank, because I don't think it made over $1 billion this last one, and Marvel and Disney produced it.
Right.
The next one's not going to make $1 billion if it's not connected.
One of the weird arguments that I've seen is that, well, the one that won an Oscar wasn't the Marvel movie, and it's like, but the Marvel movie is the one that brought in all the, over a bill.
Sony was like hands off on that on the animated one, and it didn't make that much money, unfortunately. So like, you can't make that argument. Commercially, it wasn't that big of a success. And they probably were hands off. Like when Sony's hands off, it's like George Lucas. When they're hands off, it's a better product when everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, I don't think that, once again, I don't think that's going to be a thing that hits twice.
Remember how bad Amazing Spider-Man 2 was. Just remember that, everyone, how horrible Amazing Spider-Man 2 was. And they were trying to do an Aunt May movie, infamously, and they were trying to do these Sinister Six movies. And that's what happens when Sony has full control. They run roughshod. Yeah, they bought the rights to it, but Jesus Christ, I wish it wasn't a lifetime thing. I wish it was like, oh, we'll give you the rights for 25 years, 20 years, because now we're dealing with this.
They bought
BS.
lifetime rights?
As long as they make a movie every 3 years, they have Spider-Man forever and ever and ever. That's why there's been a Spider-Man movie every 3 years.
Gotcha.
There has to be, or the rights revert back. All right, and then real quick on Star Wars stuff. I don't care about Episode 9. I'm gonna watch it because I think it's gonna be batshit crazy. Because I think J.J. Abrams is gonna try to like reverse course on Last Jedi stuff and just do whatever the hell he wants. He basically said that. He basically said, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want on this last movie. But screw that. Mandalorians looks amazing.
The Mandalorian looks really good.
The Mandalorian. Part of the Mandalorians.
I don't get very excited for Star Wars stuff. Doesn't mean I don't like it. Because I enjoy about all of it. Like The Last Jedi, whatever. It was a fucking movie. It was fine by me because I don't have this... It couldn't be better than that, and it couldn't be worse than that as long as it was entertaining to watch, which it was, because I just don't have that much invested into it. I just can't get that worked up. But at the same point in time, this sort of like the Episode 9, it's like, okay, it's a Stars movie. I'm going to go see it. But I do like the world. I've grown tired ever since the first trilogy. I mean, this is where I admit there are Star Wars fans, and then there are Star Wars fans that like the first trilogy who keep insisting they're Star Wars fans and don't like anything else. I think the world is very unique. So The Mandalorian is, something completely to the side of what we've already seen.
Yeah.
It's a bounty hunter show simply set in a universe that I think is well crafted. So I'm excited to see that.
The universe of Star Wars is more interesting to me than most of the characters in Star Wars. Just this grimy, futuristic world where you have bad actors. It's not like I idealize like Star Trek. It's the exact opposite. It's just like, it's like almost like post-apocalyptic almost in some of these worlds. And obviously the weapons are cool. I'm more into it for I love the spaceships and the dog fighting. That to me is why Star Wars, the first movie Star Wars was popular. Right? This conversation on Twitter. People are like, you can't have Star Wars without Jedi and lightsabers. Oh, hell yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Because that first Star Wars movie, there was barely any Jedi crap in it. And they were referencing it. It's interesting how much they switched up the Jedi stuff between the original trilogy. It was treated like, yeah, these are just weirdos, ancient religion, like you guys are just out of your mind. This is something that happened long ago. Who cares? And then by the prequels, it was like there was a billion of them, and it was like there was like some the population of Jedi was too big, and it became like watered down a lot. And now I'm sick of it. But the popular Star Wars stuff to me in the 90s, there was a lot of that crap that didn't rely upon Jedis. Shadows of the Empire,
a lot of the novels,
the video
books.
games like the first Dark Forces and TIE Fighter and X-Wing. That had nothing to do with Jedis, and it was great. And so this is why, and people like Pat don't say that because they're going to have like Jedi show up. There might eventually, they might have one or two, but it's not going to be like, like watching like the Clone Wars or those cartoons where it's all Jedi main characters and stuff. I have no interest in that. They're not interesting characters. I like Gina Carano in this. Carl Weathers in this. Werner Herzog is in this. The cast is insane in this.
Yeah.
The effects look great.
I when I saw Carl Weathers,
that's it. Apollo's in this. We're done.
I'm good.
We're done. Like we're done. And then obviously the cinematography is fantastic in this. And then yeah. And then it's not IG-88. It's IG-11. But it's still, there's the thing. That bounty hunter scene in Empire Strikes Back with IG-88, Dengar, Forlom, Bosk, Zuckuss, and Boba Fett, yes, I know the names, was great because it gave you a hint of what else was in the universe. And the fact that they were even like, the Empire didn't like the bounty hunters. I'm like, that's cool. That's why these guys are great. And now we're getting stories about them. Bosk has to show up as a villain at some point. Bosk is cool. That big lizard guy is cool. He's got to show up as a villain. A villain bounty hunter. What's that?
I do like Bosk.
Everyone likes Bosk. Everyone knows Bosk is in. You don't know who Dengar is, but you know who Bosk is, or Zuckuss there. Anyway, so that's cool. All right, and that's our D23 roundup.